Good evening, all. Ira Epstein, and here we are with your financial market wrap-up. And this wrap-up is for the evening of, where are we now? We're in Tuesday, and this is the 30th of May, 2023. I almost thought it was Wednesday. These holidays throw me off. I waited because I wanted to see how the grains were opening. Studying the beans, the grains got hit hard today. It is typical, and you heard me say this when we broke on Friday, and I said, listen, you trade this grain market, at this time of the year, your growing season, the heart of your growing season, if you get not enough rain, too much heat, or it's ideal weather, it has big impacts as you walk back after a 3-day break from the market. And you were down hard in all those, so you pay attention. Energies are down hard because I sent out today, for those of you that get my full research, and in the full research, I put out a report today on Russian oil. I didn't write it. It comes from Bloomberg, and it was a phenomenal report. And it's page upon page of oil production that Russia's doing. Proof of the pudding of what I have been saying. They're cheating. They're producing like there's no tomorrow. They tell you they're cutting. They're not cutting. You can't put out this much oil with it. And how they then go out at sea and they transfer oil, and it's suddenly not Russian oil that's hitting the marketplace. It's the blend that they're doing. You got to read all this to see it. I didn't write it, and that's the beauty of it. So, you can't say, oh, Ira. Nah. How do you like that Moscow got attacked? Fascinating. You would hope that the people, the Russian people, say enough of all this, all right? They're not going to win Ukraine. They're not going to knock these people out. It isn't going to happen. At what point does this end? What's the end game? That's really what this is about. And the attacking of Moscow brings that to mind. I don't want people to die. You are not hearing that. Russian, Ukrainians, anybody. That's not what it's about. But now that it's on their main city and they can be attacked, and yes, Putin's going to put up better defense systems. They'll be beat. That's just how it always is. Let me cover with you something, and this is good that I hit that button by accident. The Memorial Day sale. This ends tomorrow, which means any of my research products, if you want to buy one in my research, you get a choice of any of my courses, the full charting course, the morning subscriber video for futures, and or the Spider ETF. All have recommendations galore in them, reasons, videos to show why I'm making the trade recommendations where I am. You can give it as a gift. You can keep it for yourself. You can buy 2 of them. Some people buy the full research on the futures, and then they buy the Spider ETF. I'll give you 2 of the courses, all right? So you have a choice, but it ends tomorrow. Move your cursor up to the top here. Just click it, and that's how you do that. You can also call my staff tomorrow if you need help for anything. Okay. So now, let's go to the charts and get a feel for what we've got. In the S&P, you're just sort of drifting here. You're up to the 4,200 level. Wow. Do you know how long ago we were talking about the 4,000 and the 4,200 level? We have been here for the longest period of time, still just fighting that. You can see how the market is up here, fighting with its part, trying to go ahead. You do realize that 5 stocks today in America make up 25% of the value of all stocks in America, everything that's listed. It's hard to believe. I think we have $9 trillion companies or something like that around the world, and 5 of the monsters are making this up. And they're primarily, you know what type of companies, they're primarily tech. Now, as much as I love NVIDIA, and I do, and I realize their place in time, got to remember, chips are a commodity. They're just like a TV. Do you remember the first flat screens? And then we were going to get 40 inches and they were $10,000 and all that. Well, you can go today to Target, Costco, you can get Best Buy, you can get a TV, a great one for $700, $600. Well, in time, not today, but in time, that's what happens to these chips. This is Star Trek. This is the real thing. I'm Captain Picard. I'm talking to my android friend, and Data, tell me what's going on here and what it's doing. Just think about it. You'll say he's an android. It's artificial intelligence. And they're teaching it emotions and human, how to be that. Just think about what that is. Well, they were there. William Shatner was doing this 40 years ago. All right. It's caught up. And is it dangerous? To a degree. I imagine a lot of people are going to get hurt. They're going to ask questions and get answers that are going to hurt them. It could be physically, it could be mentally. It's got to have controls on it. So it's the Wild West. I get it. And I can see what NVIDIA has done in no time at all. And now you're going to get the other users. There's other companies that are going to make fortunes on this. Just think of all the search engines. You're going to be talking to Google. You're going to be talking to Apple products. You're going to ask it questions. They're going to do it. I want to do it with trading ideas. I mean, who doesn't want to do this? It's so much easier than programming. None of us want to be programmers. I'm going to go back to school to do some of this. I know I am. I love going to school anyway, so I'm sure I'll end up doing it somewhere along the line soon. All right. So as I look at the market, I can see the resistance that you're at. You got a lower and low, higher high. It's not a trend. It's a market that's at a vertical price move from the 4,100 level to the 4,200 level. The market fought its battle each time at the 18-day average and can't seem to get away from it. It's not running big to the upside. And when it gets hurt, it pulls back to that 18-day average. And each of the current rallies have run out of momentum up at the upper Bollinger Band, as they should, because 95% of the time, the market will stay within the bottom band or the top band, not over or out of it. You're overbought. So I'll let the other guy want to own it. At the end of the day, you're either disciplined or you're not. If you're not, you lose your money. Why? Because the market waits for you to do the wrong things because you go, I can't miss this, that my work's just not kicking in. I know it's the right thing to do. I have done all that and I've done it wrong. I'll stay with my work. When I look at the NASDAQ, now I see we got several days in a row, possibly 2 days in a row over the upper band. The odds of getting to 5, very small. So somewhere along the line here, I'm looking for the pullback. We had a head fake a couple of days back, lost the embedded reading, got it back, made new highs 1, 2, 3, all because of NVIDIA. That just carried the day. In the Dow, we have a higher high, lower low scenario. You can see how the market got itself oversold. It's correcting it, but it's not acting bullish. It's sort of just hanging here at the 200-day average up to the 18 and waiting for the next step. What do you think is going to create that? Very clearly to me, get the debt ceiling passed or not passed, and get to the Fed. What are they going to do? That's your next two things. Now, I happen to think, as you heard me say, the debt bill will get passed. If it doesn't, they'll get an extension and then they'll pass it. It's going to get passed one way or the other. What it looks like, I can't tell you. Then after that, the Fed's got to turn its attention back to the jobs report and inflation. And if you have strong jobs market, you're going to have the first look tomorrow. You get the JOLTS report. What if the amount of ads, instead of falling, goes up? What if the turnover numbers are strong as can be? In other words, people are hanging on or getting a job is lickety-split. I don't know what to expect, okay? But I think the last report was 9 million jobs offered out there, 9.4, something like that. We'll see how many are still offered. In the micro, and by the way, we get the FDIC quarterly report tomorrow. This should be a really good one. The quarterly for ending in March. Now remember, that includes the 3 bank failures. The report in December said everything's fine. Yeah, there's risks with interest rates and debt ceiling and all that. They didn't see this coming. They better get this one right. And then you get the beige book tomorrow too. There's a lot of info tomorrow and possibly the vote. Higher high, lower low. I don't know what to do with that. T-bonds, losing or flirting with losing the embedded reading. If it stays lost, then I'm looking for the market to get up into this area. Then I think that's your low at this point in time. What about here in the 5-year? Same thing. You're at 1789. No, it's not the same. You're losing it in the T-bond. You have readings already that are at 24. And when we come over to the 5-year here, you have a 17. You're still embedded. So the pros are still selling this market, probably short covering in the bonds at this point. In the dollar, outside data to the downside, and the market is possibly going to flirt with dropping down lower than that. But at this point, the pros, I think, are buying it. An 87 reading right here is still very strong. So I think they'll use the breaks in this market to buy. And if you get a reading under 79, I think they bail at the end of the day. And it's the flip-flop. Remember, the euro's the opposite because so much of the dollar index is made of the euro. So they go like that. They don't go together. Look for that. Still bearish. So the pros are probably still selling that at this point. British pound losing the embedded reading. I want no part of the short side. I was telling my subscribers this morning, you don't want to be selling that one. There is a currency I told them to sell this morning, and they did get filled. I'm not going to tell you what it is here. And right now, they're okay. We'll see if it stays that way. Higher high, lower low, oversold in Bitcoin. Now, you got to move to August Brent. Tomorrow's the last trading day of the current Brent contract. And you could see the differential still trading here about the $4 mark. But look at how these markets are getting beat up. They're just getting the heck beat out of them. The question is OPEC going to be able to do anything to defend the price? And if you're watching the economies, people are worried about what's happening to the U.S. consumer. Is he going to have to pull back? I was listening, and it was interesting today to people talking on Bloomberg, and they go, if I go into Costco, not me, but this was one of the analysts, and he says, I'm looking around. They're not buying the big ticket items. They're buying food. They're buying the very basics. Is the consumer getting hurt? I think they are to a degree. Rebob gasoline back down and close under the 18-day average, puts it back in negative territory. I'm not surprised that it ran into resistance right where it should have. The upper band fell back, tried to hold these two moving averages, didn't. Now you're back down to the lower one. Got to wait and see what it's going to do. And in that gas, you're still producing a heck of a lot of it. The temperatures are mild. They haven't gotten real hot. Today we're in the 80s in Chicago and going to be like that. So it's starting to warm up, but it's not 90 degrees yet where you really start burning this instead of coal. And that's what everybody's hoping, that they get away from coal and they all go to natural gas. Haven't seen it yet, but we're down to key support areas. So I want to remind you one last time, Memorial Day sale, move your cursor up to the top, take advantage of it. I'll see you in the morning.